Okay, you'll have to forgive me if it's a little bit windy today. The wind is blowing quite well, but I thought I'd go for a short walk just in the Connah ski area, so it's probably not going to be much interest unless you're from this area, and I'm only going to go for a short walk. But what it is, I've had COVID again, unfortunately, so I haven't been out the house at all until today, when I've posted COVID negative at last. So all that sunshine etc that you had, I was sat inside baking, unable to go anywhere. I haven't been to the shop even. I wanted to go to the shop for ages, I wasn't even able to go there. So I thought, what the heck, I'm going to go out, I'm going to do a little bit of filming. This little house here on the corner, some of you will remember it as Billy's Kebab Shop, if you're from the local area, or going back even further, when I was a kid it was a butcher's. We're going down into Hamilton Road now. This little place here used to be run, on the left here, used to be run by the council, I think it was something to do with the home and garden people. It was either there or where this house has been built now, because the house that's there now used to be like a little yard. Now I get the two mixed up, I have to admit, but the council used to either store or repair lawnmowers there at one point, I seem to recall. If anyone is from Connah and you used to live in Hamilton Road, well, here we are. This is what it's like on a lovely day. I tell you what, it's nice being out of the house. I've been going absolutely stir crazy. I daresn't go anywhere because I don't want anyone to catch anything, even though this version of COVID I found is far milder, shall we say, than the COVID I had last year. It's more like a cold, really, than anything. Still tired though, but that hasn't really improved since the first batch. But I'm going to get even more tired unless I get out walking again, so let's get out and have a look round. Got Queen's Avenue there. There used to be, down that housing estate there, a place called Cottage. Now I can see it on loads of maps going back to the, goodness me, from the 1800s right up to the 60s, but whenever you mention it to anyone they're like, Cottage? Never heard of it. Are you sure you don't mean the farm? No, it's not the farm, that's the Sir Gawain now. There was a place called Cottage, and it was sort of out on its own a little bit. I haven't been able to find any photographs of it or anything. But I bet there's someone out there that goes, Cottage, oh yeah, oh I used to live there. Yeah, there's a little bit of a gust today. I haven't got a windshield on this mic, so hopefully it's not too blowy. I couldn't be bothered faffing with the road wireless goes and setting them all up, because they are far better mics. The school is down the way there. Yeah, my chest is making its presence known. It's having a bit of a workout for a change. That's King's Road. Back in the past, you used to be able to drive all the way out of King's Road and out onto the main road, but they built the flats a few years ago, 70s, and you can't get out that way anymore. It's closed off. I was just stopped by a gentleman who's talking about traffic issues in the local area. It is a bit bad at times these days. Thought I'd have a quick nose in the Connah cemetery. I think that the cemetery is closed now. The new cemetery over at Kelsterton is now open and in use, because I think this ended up getting filled, so there was nowhere left for anyone to go. I'm not sure why that patch is empty, or if the oh crikey, what do you call them? The stones have been moved perhaps, or damaged. It's an awful shame when you see things like that. See where the stones have been pulled over. It'd be nice if there was some kind of, I don't know, a community fund or something, just to repair them, I suppose, put them back up and make them secure and what have you, rather than just slinging them on the floor. I've been here many times over the years, filling up bottles of water to go and put flowers on the grave, etc. As I say, I haven't been anywhere near a shop because I need to get some flowers to put on my nan's grave. I'm sure she's waving a finger at me wherever she is now. See, it goes all the way up the back there nowadays, but even that's full now. I suppose you can't stop the progression of time. Aeroplane flying up overhead. Wonder where he's off to. about strimming, making the place look nice. Yeah, very serene. I know, just pause. I'm going to pop and say hello to Nan. Yeah, if you look straight ahead, see all the leaning gravestones forward and back. It's a shame, isn't it, there's not some kind of a system in place whereby they look after them. I suppose it's going to be expensive to do it in perpetuity, but I don't know, I'm sure that we'd be able to put some kind of fund together, wouldn't we, to get them done. I bet there's a local builder who wouldn't mind even chipping in a little bit and giving them a hand, if they know what they're doing. Yeah, it is nice being out the house. It's unusual as well. You feel almost alien after having been stuck in for so long. It's only been like a week and a half or something, a couple of weeks nearly. River view leading to Upper Brim Road. And we've got Upper Brim Road just across the way here. A bit further down we've got Uplands Avenue. This is Red Hall here. Most of this lot was built in the early 60s. There are a few of these chocolate block types, what do you call them, speed humps along here, but they're not being overly successful really, because the people who speed just bump over them at 40 mile an hour. You get the likes of me who approach them correctly and you're just scraping on the bottom of the dratted things.
Oh, sorry.
No worries. Look. But sort of the semicircle things that go quite a long way across the road. I prefer those really, where they've got sort of a climb up and a climb down. The chocolate block things don't really help when you're in a little car, because I don't drive an SUV or like most people do these days, you see, 4x4s and SUVs and what have you. So their wheelbase just goes right across these little chocolate block things. They don't really touch it at all, so they just hammer past them at 40. Whereas if you're in a normal car, you have to slow down for them, and then you get the SUVs tailgating you all the way down the road. So they can be a little bit of a nightmare. Hillside Avenue. Yeah, Hillside Avenue, not Uplands Avenue, Dozy. I used to play on there years ago, come down it on a skateboard, and you used to be able to go right up to the top of that road, and there were garages. I don't know if you can see now. Let's put this on there. There we go, the last zoom. No, it's not a very good zoom though, but right at the top there now there's housing. There never used to be housing up there at the very top, it was garages, and then there was a bit of greenery. There was quite a lot of greenery when I was a kid, and then across a few fields there was a quick save that they'd not long built. Well, the quick save is long gone. It's a Morrison's these days, but in between Morrison's and the top of Hillside there is now housing, and all of the green fields that I used to go down getting blackberries and what have you have all gone. They're all big housing estates now, massive housing estates all the way down the Golfton Drive. And the garages, well, there's not many left. I think these are probably some of the only garages left, and they're in a dilapidated state. I did used to rent the one on the end, but it was leaking water through the roof, so I got rid of it. And I don't think anyone's taken it on since, because that's the lock I put on there, and the garage door hasn't been fixed either. It's a shame really, the council seems to be leaving those to fall to bits. Possibly with purpose, maybe they're going to build housing on them as well. This is the old Red Hall garage. As you can see, stopped serving fuel here many years ago. There's a little cafe here these days. It was a newsagent's for a while. A chap called Simon, he run it for many years. I think he gave up probably about 3 or 4 years ago, and now it's sunrise breakfast. I think that they deliver as well, these guys. They've got quite a good rep. I haven't had anything from there, to be honest. And the Red Hall pub, that's still here. Little chip shop, or Chinese now, Magic Kitchen. You got the Newmark Pharmacy. You got well, it's Morrison's now. It's been the Spa, it's been McCall's, it's been a few other places, but it's currently a Morrison's local. But here's your Red Hall. I remember seeing people sat on the roof there years ago, having a pint. St Mark's Avenue. say, there used to be garages there. You can see there's a house that it's washing up. That was where the garages were, or some of them. And behind that tree, just over the wall of this house, there's some white houses in the background. They're all, well, I call them new. They're probably about 5 years old now or something, but that's new to me. Coming up on Merlin Avenue now. It's an interesting one really on Merlin Avenue, because I'm sure some of the old timers would know this, but at the top of St Mark's Avenue, where it meets Merlin Avenue, just a little bit further up from that van with the stripes on the left hand side there was a polio hospital, and in the late 50s, early 60s it was in a derelict state, and the local kiddies used to go there and play in there and break the windows and cause all kinds of mischief, and the parents used to go mad because it was the polio hospital. Because at one time this was all fields here, this was just all fields, and the polio hospital sat out the way on its own because they didn't want anyone to get polio. But by the time the housing estate was being built, the polio hospital still existed. Right, I'm probably going to head kind of back, but I'll take a bit of a longer route. Just nice to be out. For anyone who doesn't live in the UK, it might be interesting because you can see what, basic housing estates and general living is like. And yeah, we do have the big Walmarts and the big Asda's and what have you, but we also have big estates, and we've also got estates of houses that are quite a distance from a shop. So say your dad wanted to go and get the newspaper or something, he's got a bit of a trek these days because a lot of the smaller shops have closed, unfortunately, over the years to make way for these bigger enterprises. But it doesn't help people who don't drive. I mean, we're lucky, me and the missus, because we both drive, so we're alright for the moment at least, but both of our parents have had to stop driving in the last couple of years, and it's quite difficult for them if they need to get out to get anything, or just nip to the doctors, for example. Because these days you have to go to the doctors miles away, whereas in the past you just walk down the street to the doctors. Up the road there we've got Brindeva School. I've avoided the school because the kiddies are running around and some middle-aged bloke walking around with a camera past the school. Not a good plan. So I'll keep them clear of there. I thought what I'd do is walk down here, because we can head towards the Navy Club, etc., and the old field where the tips used to be. They're not there any longer, I'm afraid. I think they filled them in the 60s. But also of interest here is the Buckley Line. There's a really interesting documentary one of the local guys around here did recently about the Buckley Line. There was a driver of one of the trains, and he did an interview with him, and he was having a chat about the Buckley Line and life as a train driver back in the day. I thought it was quite interesting. Now, if I remember, and this is a big if because COVID brain kicks in, I'll try and put a link to the gentleman's interview, because it'd be interesting to people, local people who remember the Buckley Line and what have you. But the Buckley Line kind of followed the route where this bus is coming from. Maybe slightly to the left of the road. I'm not sure. It predates me by goodness me, I think it'd been gone for about 10 years by the time I was born, I think. But it did head up this way because there is, behind these houses, a little bit of ground whereby the Buckley Line used to come through. I'm not quite sure exactly where it is, but just up the top there is a bit of land on the Redhall Avenue side that's still not been built on, and that's because the Buckley Line went through there. We'll have to try one day and do a bit of a follow of the route if possible. We have done up the top end of Connah Quay. There's a section of the old Buckley Line that still exists, but as a nature walk, and myself and Anne-Marie walked down there. Goodness me, it must be a couple of years ago now. There you go, you've got a lovely view here. I don't know if the camera will pick it up because it is quite far away, but across the way there you've got the steelworks and the coatings area. Used to be a major employer here, the steelworks, years ago. I think it was something insane, like 12,000 people made redundant, and then this area was pretty downtrodden for years because the people who got redundancy early got out and got all the jobs, and then everyone was unemployed for donkey's years. Absolutely donkey's years, probably a decade or so. And it was all like manual workers, you know, like steel workers and coal miners and things like that, because Mrs. Thatcher, who was in charge at the time, was trying to change our economy. For better or worse, I don't know, but to a more finance related, commercial related economy, I think. Whether that has saved us in the long run, I don't know, I'm not sure. I'm no political expert. I know that we could do with more power stations, etc. now, because Russia's going to be turning off the gas, etc. soon. So maybe it was a bit short-sighted of us to close everything before we had everything in place to ensure we could generate enough power. Let's wait for all this traffic to go. Yeah, wait until we had enough alternative energy sources to power the country without closing everything down first, but we didn't seem to do that really, but never mind. You get a good view of the steelworks here. There's another good view on the actual Uplands Avenue. You do get quite a nice view there as well. Yeah, it's getting quite windy now, so apologies if it's a little bit blowy. There might be a couple of you saying, I used to live here, or my granddad used to live down this road, or whatever. And I will be doing more walks, don't worry, I'm not just going to pack it in. If nothing else, I think the exercise is really good. Pensioners' bungalows down there. A few Flintshire wagons out. I think they're doing a few upgrades to housing at the moment, putting in carbon dioxide detectors and things like that. Insulation and making places more energy efficient and what have you. These houses here just on the end are reasonably new. I'm not quite sure how old, I'd say about 4 years ish, something like that. Might be a bit longer. Heading now towards the Navy Club. Got Princess Street here. If you go straight down there, you'll end up in Mold Road eventually. I think there's something going on over there. I don't think it's football, maybe fitness of some kind. Everyone's in shorts. Here's the Navy Club, still going. I'm not sure if it has anything to do with the Navy nowadays, but it's still going. There used to be the Kingdom Hall, just at the bottom, the black covered building at the bottom, but that has now closed. I think it's now housing.